Okay, this lesson 5 in module 5 is talking about scientific notation. And a lot of times we're encountering really big numbers like 15 trillion, and it's kind of ridiculous to write it with all those zeros. And then sometimes we're talking about like a billionth of an inch or something like that, and it's kind of ridiculous to write that number as well. So scientific notation comes in super handy. It's a nice shortcut to writing numbers that have lots of zeros, either in either a decimal point and a bunch of zeros and then the number, or a number and a lot of zeros after it. Okay, so to write a number in scientific notation, the number has to be in front, has to be between 1 and 10, including 1 but not including 10, and then it has to be multiplied by a power of 10. So to write a number in scientific notation, here are the steps. We're going to move the decimal point in the original number so the new number has a value between 1 and 10. Note the number can be 1 but cannot be 10, just like I said. Count the number of decimal places that the decimal point is moved in step 1. If the original number is 10 or greater, the count is positive. If the original number is less than 1, the count is negative. Multiply the new number from step 1 by 10 raised to the exponent in step 2. So let's take a look at the first one here. So I'm going to first make a number between 1 and 10. So it's going to be 3.204 times 10, and now we need to figure out the power. Well, I moved the decimal point 2 places, right? So it's going to be 10 to the second. The count is positive because the original number is greater than 10. Now let's do the next one. The count's also going to be positive here because that number is greater than 10. So first I'm going to place the decimal point to make the number between 1 and 10, 5.5. I don't need all of those zeros, whereas in this first problem, I needed all the digits because they weren't all zeros after a specific number. So now, times 10, the count is positive, and I moved the decimal point 4 places. No, 5 places. There we go. So it's 5.5 times 10 to the 5th. Now let's do the next one. Well, basically, to get a number between 1 and 10, you have to place a decimal point between the first 2 non-zero digits. So 5.716 times 10 to the, well, this number is definitely less than 1, so the count's going to be negative, and it's going to be negative 4 because I'm moving the decimal point 4 places. And last but not least is D here. D says, well, 6 is already a number between 1 and 10, right? So how do I write that in the into scientific notation? Well, it's going to be 6 times 10 to the, I didn't move the decimal, so it's going to be 10 to the 0, which makes sense because 10 to the 0 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6. Next slide. Okay, now, as you can see, we're going to go the other way, okay? So here's the deal. To write a scientific notation number in standard form, we're going to move the decimal point the same number of spaces as the exponent on the 10. If the exponent is positive, we're going to move to the right or make a number bigger than 10. If the exponent is negative, we're moving that move the decimal point to the left that number of spaces because we make that number less than 1. So here we go. So 8.45 times 10 to the 5th. So I'm going to do 8.45, and I'm going to move my decimal point 5 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any missing places, I add 0. And then I'm not lazy. I write it out without all the squiggly guys. And there it is. I'll put in a little comma. Okay, so that's 845,000. Now let's do the next one. So I'm going to move it 2 places to the right because it's positive, and then I'm not going to be lazy. So I know what my answer is. The next one is 6.6. Now we're going to go to the left 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we go. Put the zeros in the places, and there's my new decimal point. So it's going to end up being 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and a 66. If I wanted to state this number, tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. This is actually the number 66 millions. And then finally D, there are 2.144 times 10 to the 4th miles of highways, roads, and streets in a certain state. So I am going to move the decimal point again to the right 4 places to get the standard form for this number. So if I move it to the right 4 places, 1, 2, 3, 4, add a 0, not lazy, write the number out again, there it is, 21,440 miles. I'll label that miles since it's not just a generic number. Now you'll be able to do the written work as well as the My Math Lab exercises. Ask questions when you need to. Go for it.